Hey, blues fans. Thanks for joining us. It's time for another episode of This Week in the Blues, our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Matson with Big Train and the Locomotives. We're your favorite blues nerds. Now let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Blues pianist and guitarist Leonard Baby Doo Caston was born on June 2nd, 1917. He learned to play the piano under the influence of Leroy Carr and Art Tatum. Caston is best noted for the tracks Blues at Midnight and I'm Gonna Walk Your Log. He was born in Sumrall, Mississippi, and lived in Chicago from 1934 to 1936, but then moved back to Mississippi after his family relocated to Natchez, Mississippi. Memphis Minnie was born June 3rd in 1897. She was one of the most popular and prolific blueswomen of her day, and she earned the respect of critics, the support of record-buying fans, and unqualified praise from the blues artists she worked with throughout her long career. Her real name is Lizzie Douglas, and she recorded around 200 songs, some of the best known being Bumblebee, Nothin' and Ramblin', and Me and My Chauffeur Blues. Despite her southern roots and popularity, she was as much a Chicago blues artist as anyone in her day. Big Bill Brunzi recalls her beating both him and Tampa Red in a guitar contest and claims she was the best woman guitarist he had ever heard. Blues pianist Buster Pickens was born June 3rd in 1916. He was born in Hempstead, Texas, and by the 1930s, Pickens and others were part of the Santa Fe Circuit, named after touring musicians utilized the Santa Fe freight trains to get to one location or another. Pickens later accompanied Alger Texas Alexander and regularly performed with Lightnin' Hopkins and played on several of Hopkins' albums in the early 1960s. Pickens was shot dead by his cousin after an argument in a bar in Houston, Texas in November of 1964. Chicago blues guitarist Jimmie Rodgers was also born on June 3rd in Ruleville, Mississippi. He learned to play the harmonica with his childhood friend Snooky Pryor, and as a teenager he took up the guitar. He was best known for his work as a member of Muddy Waters Band in the early 1950s. His solo career included blues hits That's All Right, Chicago Bound, Walkin' by Myself, and Rock This House. He withdrew from the music industry at the end of the 1950s, but returned to recording and touring in the 1970s. In 1995, Rodgers was inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame. Blues singer and harp player Raphael Neal was born June 6, 1936. Neal was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and raised by his aunt and uncle on a tenant farm in Chamberlain, West Baton Rouge Parish. He began playing the harmonica at age 14. He played with Buddy Guy in a band called The Clouds. Neal toured globally, and in 1997, his harmonica playing was featured on the album Live Swampland Jam by Tab Benoit. 9 of his 10 children are also blues musicians, and several performed with him in his later releases on the Alligator label. Blues harmonica player James Harman was born June 8th in 1946. Born in Anniston, Alabama, Harman began taking piano lessons at the age of 4. Harmonicas owned by his father were stored in the piano bench, and James tried playing them after his piano lessons ended. In time, he learned to play several other musical instruments, including the guitar, electronic organ, and drums. By the age of 16, he had launched his own band and subsequently recorded a number of singles and albums with various ensembles, including Soul Senders, Snake Doctor, King James and the Royals, the Ice House Blues Band, and Ice Pick James and the Rattlesnakes. Slide guitar master Derek Trucks was born June 8, 1979. He displays a command of slide guitar styles running the gamut from blues to classic R&B to early rock and roll to classic jazz. He is the nephew of longtime Allman Brothers drummer Butch Trucks. Derek Trucks began playing guitar when he was 9 and shared stages and sat in with the likes of Buddy Guy and the Allman Brothers Band by the time he was 12. Trucks later married blues guitarist Susan Tedeschi, and the pair continued to record and perform as the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, it's really, really, really easy. Just be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.